The crystal glass slipped from a wealthy guest's hand, and deep red wine splashed across the simple gray suit of a quiet man standing near the ballroom entrance. Before he could even wipe his jacket, laughter echoed through the grand hall. Nearly 200 successful executives, investors, and social elites watched as security hurried toward him, convinced he didn't belong among them. No one noticed the calm expression on his face. No one realized that within the next hour, every future in that glittering room would depend on the man they had just humiliated. Before we begin, if you believe kindness and second chances can change lives, please like this video, comment where you're watching from, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps us bring more inspiring stories to people around the world. The annual Horizon Leadership Gala was one of the biggest daytime business events of the year. Bright sunlight streamed through the enormous glass windows, filling the luxurious ballroom with warmth while elegant decorations reflected golden light across polished marble floors. Every guest wore expensive designer clothing, sparkling jewelry, and confident smiles that seemed to say they had already conquered the world. Among them stood Rowan Mercer, dressed in a clean but modest gray suit that had clearly seen better days. His polished shoes were old, his watch was simple, and his quiet personality made him almost invisible. Most people assumed he was either hotel staff or a junior assistant who had wandered into the wrong event. What nobody knew was that Rowan had spent his childhood growing up in poverty after losing both parents before he turned 15. Raised by his grandmother, he learned that respect could never be purchased, only earned through compassion and honesty. She often reminded him that people reveal their true character by how they treat those who appear powerless. Those words became the foundation of everything Rowan built as an adult. Years later, after creating one of the world's most respected investment firms, he deliberately avoided luxury and fame. He believed that expensive clothes often attracted respect that should instead be earned through character. That morning, Rowan had arrived quietly because he wanted to observe the executives before making the final decision on a $1 billion partnership. His company had narrowed the selection to one organization, and today's event was the last opportunity to judge whether its leadership truly deserved the investment. Financial reports looked excellent, but Rowan cared more about integrity than impressive numbers. As conversations filled the ballroom, Rowan politely greeted servers, thanked reception staff, and smiled at everyone he passed. Several employees returned his kindness with genuine appreciation. Yet many executives barely acknowledged his presence. Some looked through him as though he were invisible. Others stepped aside with expressions suggesting he lowered the elegance of the event simply by standing nearby. Then came the moment that changed everything. A wealthy board member carrying a large glass of expensive wine turned quickly while laughing with colleagues. The glass collided with Rowan's shoulder, sending dark red wine cascading across his jacket and shirt. Gasps spread across the room before several guests burst into laughter. Instead of apologizing, the executive frowned as though Rowan had caused the accident himself. A few people mocked his appearance, suggesting that someone dressed so poorly should never have entered such an exclusive gathering. Security approached immediately, believing complaints from influential guests without asking what had actually happened. Rowan remained calm. He quietly accepted a napkin from a young waitress who looked genuinely heartbroken for him. She apologized repeatedly despite having done nothing wrong. Rowan thanked her warmly, smiled, and assured her that accidents happen every day but kindness is much rarer. His gentle response surprised the nearby hotel staff, who watched silently while others continued whispering and judging. As security politely escorted Rowan toward the side of the ballroom, he never argued or demanded respect. He simply observed every face around him. Some looked amused. Some looked embarrassed but remained silent. Only a handful showed genuine concern. Rowan mentally remembered every expression. Minutes later, the event host stepped onto the stage and proudly announced the arrival of the mysterious investor whose billion-dollar partnership would transform one lucky company forever. Excitement swept through the audience as executives straightened their ties, adjusted their jackets, and prepared confident smiles. Everyone expected a famous billionaire surrounded by assistants and photographers. Instead, the host froze after receiving a phone call. Confusion spread across the room before another organizer rushed onto the stage with pale skin and trembling hands. They whispered urgently before scanning the audience in disbelief. Suddenly, their eyes landed on Rowan, who still stood quietly near the ballroom entrance with wine stains covering his suit. The host immediately climbed down from the stage, walked directly toward Rowan, and respectfully extended both hands. The entire ballroom fell silent as cameras turned in their direction. Every executive watched in complete disbelief while the host publicly introduced Rowan Mercer as the founder and sole decision-maker behind the billion-dollar investment everyone had been competing to secure. The silence became heavier than any speech. Faces that had been laughing only moments earlier turned pale. The executive responsible for spilling the wine seemed unable to breathe. Several board members rushed forward with desperate apologies, offering expensive replacement suits and invitations to private meetings. Their confidence had vanished, replaced by panic. But Rowan's expression remained exactly the same. He slowly walked onto the stage, still wearing the stained jacket. Standing beneath the bright afternoon sunlight shining through the ballroom windows, he thanked the hotel staff who had shown him kindness. Then he spoke about something no financial presentation had mentioned. He explained that every business eventually faces difficult moments when profits, pressure, and competition test its values. During those moments, character becomes more valuable than talent because character determines every future decision. He admitted that today's event had never been about luxury presentations or polished speeches. It had always been a test of leadership, humility, and humanity. The financial numbers had already impressed him months earlier. Today he only wanted to discover how people treated someone they believed had nothing to offer. Looking across the room, Rowan explained that wealth can build beautiful buildings, but only kindness builds lasting legacies. Companies often invest millions in technology, advertising, and innovation while forgetting that the simplest act of respect can determine their greatest opportunities. The young waitress who had offered Rowan a napkin without expecting anything in return stood quietly near the back of the room. Rowan invited her onto the stage and publicly thanked her for reminding everyone that compassion requires no title, no wealth, and no recognition. The audience responded with heartfelt applause that lasted far longer than any business announcement that day. When it came time to reveal his decision, Rowan announced that his company would not proceed with the billion-dollar partnership under the current leadership. Instead, he encouraged the organization to rebuild its culture before pursuing growth. He explained that businesses capable of respecting every individual, regardless of appearance or status, would always attract greater opportunities in the future. Many executives left the ballroom carrying regret instead of celebration. Yet for countless employees who had witnessed the events unfold, that afternoon became a lesson they would never forget. Promotions, contracts, and profits eventually come and go, but the memory of treating another human being with dignity lasts forever. Months later, the company began transforming its leadership culture. Training programs focused on empathy, accountability, and respect replaced empty motivational speeches. Rowan eventually returned, not because anyone begged him, but because genuine change had taken place. This time, every employee, visitor, and guest received the same warm welcome, proving that true success begins with kindness. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs this message, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Together, we can spread more kindness in a world that desperately needs it. Speech balloon special request: comment below with one word, kindness, if you believe every person deserves respect, no matter how they look or what they own. As the afternoon sun slowly faded beyond the ballroom windows, one truth remained brighter than all the crystal chandeliers inside. Clothes can fool the eyes. Wealth can impress the crowd. Titles can command attention. But kindness is the only treasure that reveals the true value of a human heart, and sometimes, the person standing quietly in the corner is the one holding the future in their hands.